不破の力、長らくは戻りそうにないですね。あるいは、もう。
You know what, Star Twinkle? Just knowing that we won't have to deal with you or that little content swap anymore deserves to have the good stuff brought out. Here's to you. We open the grand finale to the series on Ripple Star, the Star Princess plan, whatever it's called. And right off the bat, I'll say, I like seeing the implication that Prunsu hooked up with Yan Yan here, with him possibly introducing her to his parents. They make for a cute couple, though I do wish he had gotten a little more screen time. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Uni managed to free her people from their stone prisons with the help of her new friend.
ごめんなさい。
Alright then, who's up for a public execution? No, of course, they accepted her apology for almost dooming them to a fate arguably worse than death. And lastly, we cut over to the planet Samon, where thanks to Lala, everyone started taking to actually walking, as opposed to relying on their hoverboards, as it had become the new hip thing to do. Really wish it were the case for my state too. But yeah, thanks to Lala, her planet had seen many positive changes, including the dismantling of their class system. But due to her AI also sharing stuff about her friends to the mother AI... After the final opening to the series, we cut over to Hikaru's grandparents, also a couple of highly underused side characters, watching a news report with the US president, who was a woman, possibly of color. Nope, I am out. This channel's not meant for politics. I'm done. Good day to y'all. Though her translator kinda sounds familiar. Nah, probably nothing, and I bet this scene isn't going to be imported in any way later. We then cut over to the Earthling Cures thinking about their alien friends when... I'm sorry, I think we might have skipped a scene or two. We didn't? Okay. But yeah, a full warp open, because, well, I guess they do have to say their farewells to the little fluffball before she loses her powers permanently, and wait, why is she back in her budget MLP form? And then she also restores the pendants. How much more time do we have left? Okay. They sat down to have a nice little tea party, to which I'm surprised they didn't try to stick in one last plug for their overpriced confections. Though, as it turned out, Lala's crew didn't come just for pleasantries, as apparently one last plot point, Noltere mask, got sent to Earth through the portal from the previous episode. This particular mask was basically able to create instant monsters of the week just by putting it on. Thus, the Precure had to find and dispose of it before it fell into the wrong hands. They split up, with Hikaru tracing her steps back to their original return point. There, she found some convenient spotlights, as well as a wild magical girl god. Yep, it was time for the early bird cameo of the next series Pink, with Nodaka and Hikaru exchanging pleasantries about their respective incubators. They didn't have much time to talk about themselves, as Hikaru was called away. See you in the movies! By the way, you wanna trade some BL later? And I've been kidding, look it up. Baoyuki is really into that stuff, hence her nickname, Why Aoi. The search for the mask was turning up nothing, and after Elena raised a flag with this painfully obvious line, Mr. Kaguya had found the mask and was asking Hikaru's old man if he recognized it, and you can guess what happened next. So the final boss of this anime is going to be Ansem? You know, this would have been a lot cooler if he didn't say this before putting the mask on. Though, I will admit, I kind of got a chuckle out of the fact that he was going berserk because he had put the mask on backwards and couldn't see. Yes, it was kind of stupid, but come on, how much dignity does Solid Snake have at this point? Anyway, they transform one last time for one last underwhelming fight played against the voice actors version of their opening that, I'll admit, I kind of liked a little more than the actual opening. And of course, following the traditional patterns, Nodoka joined in on the fight. She unfortunately didn't do much and just used her wand, but again, I won't judge until I see the actual first episode of her series. Plus, as I just said, the fight animation here overall wasn't all that great. Anyway, one final full cold chat later, I'm not going to miss these, and they defeated the Heartless or whatever. After the fight, they were rewarded with a crossover item that likely won't play into anything after this. Again, we're really sticking to those traditions, aren't we? And just as Mr. Hoshino was waking up, Nodoka disappeared and an alarm clock went off? And then we cut over to the exact same scene from before with Hikaru's grandparents? Hello? Actually, the more appropriate clip probably would have come from this movie. So yeah, a good portion of this final episode of the series was just a dream sequence to give a platform to Healing Good. I guess this is Murayama's way of somehow maintaining some sort of continuity with the Precure universe, even though I really don't think it's worth worrying about at this point. And really, dream sequences like this just feel like one of the worst cliches, as often they just leave the viewers feeling more confused than anything else. Anyway, yeah, the translator from earlier did sound familiar, because as it turned out, it was Elena who had achieved her dream and was now working for one of the highest offices of power. The president herself was announcing the first space project launch that was made possible through a partnership with Japan. Of course, you can guess who Japan's representative astronaut was, and even who the project's leader was, and also happened to be the daughter of the PM. Thank you very much, nepotism. Meanwhile, on Planet Rainbow, Uni had seemingly become one of the new leaders of her planet alongside her assistant. Ew, was that? You're almost to the finish line, Kiyosaki. Just a little more. Anyway, Lala and her new Hatsune Miku look had also visited the Note Raiders, who, with some help from the Hoshizora Alliance, had managed to terraform their own colony planet that the many refugees could call home. And I will admit, I'm happy to see these guys get the happy ending they deserved. Unfortunately, due to being in a different galaxy, they couldn't travel to Earth to see their friends, but Uni assured Lala that they would meet again someday, ending this series on a bittersweet but still hopeful note. And since all of those earlier scenes were just a dream sequence, at least we know that little cotton ball is gone for good. Please, no.
The universe is so boring.
Anyway, this final episode really did need to be 23 minutes. I mean, the 10 years later stuff actually wasn't all that bad, aside from that ending. But that whole dream sequence was really needless and only really served to act as a cheap platform for the next series, and also kind of killed off the mood for the remainder of the episode. I don't know, maybe it's just me and my oversensitivity to cliches, because really everything else in this episode is fine, and at least plays out exactly how we thought it would. I personally kind of wish it didn't in certain areas, like the Planet Rainbow inhabitants just forgiving I-1, but at the same time, I do like how Lala managed to make some very positive changes to her planet, and thus bringing her arc full circle. It just goes to show how she had probably the most complete arc of her team, though I'll save talking about that and many other things for my overview. With all that said, yeah, I wasn't a fan of the dream sequence. It might have been nice if they had actually left it a little more ambiguous as to whether or not it was a dream, but nope, Lala confirmed they hadn't gone to Earth, and of course, President can't remain in office for more than 2 terms. Thus, it really does kind of feel like it was just tacked on to fulfill a quota. Then again, maybe that's the series in a nutshell. A lot of good ideas, often hampered by some kind of third party forcing the writers to somewhat compromise their vision. Star Twinkle Precure really needed more space to stretch their imagination, as well as a little more organization, but for reasons I'll illustrate in my overview, I don't think they were afforded such. Overall, this was a series that gave me a lot of frustrations, but also worked out my own imagination by making me think up ways to complain about it. So for that, I guess I'll thank it. Though other than one last video coming soon, I won't be looking back on this series anytime soon. So far, I've written the first 7 pages of my overview of this series, and I just want to watch this final episode before I continued and finalized it. Needless to say, it's going to be a lengthy video, but I should have it done within the next 2 weeks or so, and then after that, it's back to the full-on Precure series review, which you should be able to guess what's coming next. Look forward to it, and see you guys here next week for Healing Good. And until then though, farewell for now my friends, and you know, usually for most Precure series, I like to have a little toast to it to salute its ending, but for this series in particular, I think I'll just finish off the whole bottle.